tell you what, it does not change the way I do business when that music comes on. Woo-hoo! Good morning, it's JP, Kathy, and the crew on JP, Kathy, and the Crew Network. It is Monday morning. Good morning, Kathy.
It is a mess. I can barely hear myself.
Well, I can hear you great, and you look fantastic, might I say.
I look fantastic for somebody who's got a split fence from the storm and 4 tires that are low from, I guess, the extreme shift in the barometric pressure. What a crazy night with the weather.
So I guess Manic Monday then.
I'm guessing so. I mean, it was just, what a mess. I know the Allen Baptist men, or the Baptist men are headed out to Allen, Texas, just right down the street from us. So lots of friends with trees down, windows smashed. JP, I don't know if you saw Denise and Bob, their entire awning that they had just built over their beautiful back patio, just annihilated.
You know what's funny is that did not lead the news this morning.
Really?
The storm did not lead the news this morning. The news was led by an I-30 crash and then followed with a COVID story from Dallas County.
Right.
And Dallas ISD picking up devices and a parent group out of McKinney pooling their money together so that they can purchase a teacher to help them during virtual learning.
I saw a story on that on Friday. Very intriguing how parents are getting very creative during this, especially because, again, they've got jobs that they're having to tend to during these trying times, and they don't have the time to be hands-on with their kids. And then a lot of them are, and Dr. Good has spoken about this many a times. If you missed her show, you can catch it on the podcast from yesterday. Parents aren't equipped to be teachers unless you went to school to be a teacher. And heck, even though I went to school to be a teacher, and I was a teacher at Plano East Senior High for 7 years, and I still don't think I would have been the best teacher homeschooling my kids. I think they'd be like, yeah, I can agree with that.
I'm finding that most of the parents that don't want the that don't want the kids to go to school don't have kids at home.
There you go.
Good morning, Corley.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am well, thank you. I am in the JP, Kathy, and the Crew Network Batcave.
I like it.
You do look like you're in the Batcave. Now, I know you're taking care of your dad, and we want to send your dad 2 personal notes this morning. We want to send JP's dad prayers in the Phoenix area, getting ready to undergo some surgical procedures. And then also Charles, who's another one of our partners and who leads the way and gets us on the air 3 days a week. His mom is sick in the hospital. So prayers for both of their parents who are very, very dearly loved.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Chuck, you're not reading the restream chat. Chuck, fix the camera. I'm looking at the wall.
You're looking at the wall.
Yeah, I want to look at Kathy and Corley. Well, no, but there we go.
I was like, what wall? Hello?
Look at Corley. Yo, hang 10, baby. Woo! There we go. Now we're good to go. Well, so just a quick update because prayers poured in from all over. I'm not one to be afraid to ask for prayer. Prayer is very powerful.
Amen.
Of course, my father went into the hospital Friday night. We were not expecting that. Lost all strength in his legs. He's getting the strength back. He was up and walking yesterday. They figured out it was an infection on his leg that caused all the problems. And so physical therapists are going to be in today, infectious disease doctor, and all of that stuff to take care of him getting back up and back walking. So keep praying. It is working. Don't stop. We have Dr. Norm Clothier joining us this morning. He's going to be talking about the flu vaccine, the pneumonia shot, COVID-19, all of those things coexisting. Do we have Dr. Clothier with us now, Chuck?
I can't. No, not yet.
No, not yet. All right. So
Not
if we
yet.
don't have him, let's go ahead and quickly cover. Again, interestingly enough, Kathy, the local news did not
There he
cover
goes. Look at that. He's joining in.
Yeah, I found that interesting. Even last night, while the storm was going on, you couldn't find a break in local shows to talk about it. And there was hail last night. I know my daughter and her boyfriend had ping pong size hail out in the Dallas area. 60-mile-an-hour wind gust throughout the McKinney, Frisco, Allen, Plano area. So yeah, it was a mess. Like I said, we'll be dealing with half the fences in our back on one whole side of our backyard. Half the fence is in our yard, half the fence is almost touching the neighbor's air conditioning vent. So my husband was going to make sure that it did not touch that as of this morning.
So will your homeowner's insurance take care of that for you?
Oh yeah, it should. Yeah,
Well,
I mean
that's
it was,
good.
and it was interesting because fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. But so it was. I mean, boy, you could just see it was just tearing in. And we were
Well, I'm going to uncross your fingers and get right over to Dr. Clothier. Good morning, Dr. Norm Clothier.
Don't uncross the
Good
fingers.
morning.
Good
How you
morning,
doing?
Dr. Clothier.
I'm well. How are you, Dr. Clothier?
Oh, I'm doing well. I was
You
not
look
hit by a
well.
fence last night, but we did have some damage from the winds.
Yeah,
Well,
and you're in the
power
Richardson.
failure,
You're in the
whatever.
Richardson area.
Somewhere around that area, yeah. I am at
Well-
my office in Richardson. You are correct. But there's no wind in here except for my own voice.
I love the clarity of your voice with no wind inside your office. They took care of those
thank
holes.
you. I appreciate that. We designed it wind-free this time. And, learning from the mistakes of the past, I think, was significant. So,
It
tried.
is.
yeah,
I'll tell you
now
what
my
else
own
is-
hot air is it.
I'll tell you what else is significant is getting out there, getting the flu vaccine, especially this year, I think.
Oh, yeah.
If you're prone to pneumonia, getting that pneumonia shot, and then what are we going to do with COVID and how it relates? And, a Dallas couple is already trying out a vaccine trial, so that's interesting as well. So, but, Dr. Clothier, with the cold season coming, and I mean the temperature, the flu becomes aggressive. COVID-19 is going to be aggressive. How important is it to have the flu vaccine this year?
Well, it's extremely important. And of course, that's exactly what I think the society in general has realized is the flu shot's pretty okay, and it's extremely safe. I go through this every year with our listeners, and that is that I think people misunderstand the flu shot. It is a purified protein from the flu virus that they predict 3 strains will probably come through. Nobody knows for sure. There is cross immunity, so you get better protection. Even if you don't have a perfect match, you get better protection against influenza by getting the immunization. It is a purified protein. It will not give you the flu. I have people every year say, oh, every time I get that shot, I get the flu. No, you don't, because it is not available through the flu shot. You can't get the entire viral particle and get the flu. What I find a lot of people do is they'll come in like in October and get the flu shot, and then come in at the end of November around Thanksgiving and have a sinus infection, and they'll say, oh, I told you I'd get the flu from the flu shot. And that's not influenza. That's a normal seasonal illness. And that's what we all have to keep in mind with the COVID plague, is that there are normal seasonal things too. So one of those, the most significant and the most feared right now, frankly, is influenza. So the shot will probably be out over the next 2 or 3 weeks. It is not yet available. I've had a lot of people come in and ask about it, but it'll be shipped sometime around the last day of August, and then you should go ahead and get it. We used to give the flu shot like in mid-October because it only lasted immunity-wise about 5 months. It now has been verified that the immunity lasts 10 to 12 months, so you should go ahead and get it as soon as you can. And I think it's just one of those protection of society things. We have had further understanding of the term herd immunity with the COVID pandemic, where people talk about, if we acquire immunity and therefore somebody doesn't carry the infection to someone else, then there's benefit to that. And that's what's going to be needed with the flu shot. That's why we used to talk about immunizing only those at risk, the elderly, the immunocompromised, the very young. Now we talk about everybody getting a flu shot so that we reduce the risk to the others around us, so that if they don't have that great opportunity to get an influenza vaccine themselves, at least maybe you will protect them from infection by not carrying it to them. So one that's very important, and the flu shot is indicated for nearly everybody, including babies 6 months and older. And what we do in children is to give, or in the infant, is to give the first dose in a split dose, to where they get half of their dose at time 0, and then the other half 4 weeks later. And then beyond that, if you have a child who's had the flu shot one prior year, you can just do the normal dosing. So that's going to be really important. And then, JP, you touched on the pneumonia shot. There are 2 shots out there for pneumonia. They are indicated for all adults over age 65 and for any other adult who has a so-called chronic medical condition. If you know a person, you know somebody with a chronic medical condition, I would say. That could be hypertension, diabetes, hypothyroidism, asthma, there are so many chronic medical conditions out there. And so nearly every adult can get the pneumonia shot. So the way that's done under age 65 is to do one at time 0 and then another one 5 years later. If you're over 65, it's 2 shots 1 year apart. And I will just say those shots change in their recommendations all the time. So if you've had one, say, 4 years ago, maybe even ask your doctor if you should have another one now because of the season and because of risk. So I would certainly recommend it. It's very proper to get for anyone with chronic respiratory disease. That'd be COPD, asthma, anything among those, pulmonary hypertension, anything, that you should really make sure you get that shot. So what it protects against is actually about 30% of pneumonia, the so-called pneumococcal pneumonia, which is actually a cousin of strep throat, essentially, not to be confused with it, but it's a streptococcal pneumonia, and it is it accounts for about 30% of pneumonias, but it tends to be the 30% where people end up critically ill or die. Other pneumonia can occur. So if you know somebody who's had a pneumonia shot and then developed pneumonia, don't let that drive you down the track of saying, oh, that must be worthless because I know one person that got pneumonia. It protects against the most serious. So the analogy I often use is if you knew you were going to have a car wreck today, you would pick a fender bender over a head-on collision. And this is like trying to prevent the head-on collision.
So, Dr. Clothier, with us going into flu season, the way that we're going into it, with COVID-19, the way it impacts your body, one of the questions is, can you get the flu shot and the pneumonia shot at the same time?
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, that's frequently done. I'll tell you, one of the mechanisms where that occurs a lot, and I think it's fine because there's not really too much immunity you can form against pneumonia, for instance, is what I find is if you go to a pharmacy and get a flu shot, they will offer you the pneumonia shot, and they rarely have records of whether you've had one before. And they'll offer it to people. A lot of people agree, and that's fine. That's just extra immunity. It's really more an issue of insurance in that case than it is health. And we never want insurance to block good health. And so I think that's a great question, and absolutely you can get both. Now, someday, if we do have a COVID immunization, I'll tell you, it's interesting to me there already are trials because, as I always try to remind us, it's not even been 9 months yet since the COVID, 9 months ago today. 9 months ago today, COVID was genotyped. So we don't know anybody who had it a year ago, and to see what the chronic conditions may be. We're getting closer to that, but it's amazing to me. Be thankful for your medical scientists who have been working on the immunization, because if you think about, AIDS, HIV was defined about 34 years ago now, and we don't have an active vaccine for that or an effective one. We have so many diseases that we don't have immunizations for. It's absolutely extraordinarily shocking to me that we already have some human trials with a virus that we've only known about for 9 months.
And Dr. Clothier, so I think you've already answered this question, would you be one of the ones that would be first in line to get this COVID vaccine shot right now?
Sure. Could you remind me what my answer was last? Oh, no, just kidding. But here to me is the criteria.
Okay.
First, if it is proven to be effective in humans and not, there's no catastrophe with getting the shot. Let's say there's not a high fever and brain damage, for instance. Then, yes, I would.
Okay.
Because I think what we're seeing already with immunization, we have a long track record with immunizations in general, and they really are safe despite rumors and comments and attempts to destroy the name of medical scientists who both promote them and develop them. I think it's immunization is a proper scientific means of enhancing immunity. And I would say first, I want to see a true trial. I don't want to hear a comment from Russia or China that says, this is safe and we're giving it to people.
Yes, especially China.
I want the scientific paper. But if I have the research in hand and can read it, then yes, I would. And I do want to mention there's a famous medical rapper, actually, Z-Dog MD, if you've ever heard of him or seen any of his videos. He is very talented, and he's a fascinating guy who practiced medicine a long time, always wanted to entertain, and he has put together videos about ER stress, medical stress, insurance stress, extremely entertaining. He's been, I met him at a conference. He's a good guy. He's very ordinary as far as that goes until he gets on stage, and he's extraordinary there. But he has been promoting immunization recently, and he and his family have received death threats and had to go into they now live in a secured environment with protective staff around them, security guards, because they've received death threats from anti-vaxxers. And I just want to point out, even if you don't particularly care for your child having immunizations, the answer to that is not going and murdering someone else.
Good point.
It's a really strange realm in my mind that people can get that worked up about something that's basic medical science. So I'd encourage, maybe COVID's the reminder that that disease can be devastating to a society and that we need to figure out proper scientific ways to help manage that.
Well, and we've got a question. We've got a question from the crew, real quick, JP. Can you get the flu and the pneumonia shot like the same day? Can I go into Walgreens, CVS, my doctor's office, and get that the same day?
Yes, and just in case you didn't hear me about 2 minutes ago, yes, absolutely.
Sorry, I missed that. I was reading the question.
Because
I already asked.
Listeners didn't hear either.
Sorry about that, y'all. I'm like, did we ask that?
But
Okay,
it
drink
is
more
very
coffee,
common
Kathy.
to get them together, and it's fine. And that does remind me just to mention that the flu shot is an annual shot. I do have people come in that say, oh, I don't need another flu shot, right, because I got it last year. It is designed to be the 1 year product. It is put out pretty quickly, too, based on epidemiological studies from the other side of the world where the flu is already hitting. And so the annual flu shot is called the annual flu shot because it's once a year. And just the basic science behind that word is that it's once a year. And with the pneumonia shot, it's one time 5 years apart, or two shots total.
Right.
Unless you're over 65, it's one shot 2 years apart, so two shots total 1 year apart. But if you get an extra one, it's okay. So if you go somewhere and don't know the date of your pneumonia shot, get a pneumonia shot and flu shot if you qualify and if you're comfortable with that. Now, I do want to mention there's another immunization for adults that I think is worth getting. It may not be so much just because COVID's around, which is really the most compelling reason to get the influenza shot, pneumonia shots, and that's Shingrix for shingles prevention. Shingles is a very miserable condition, a reawakening of the chickenpox virus. So most all of us, I mean, you all look young to me, but at least I had chickenpox as a child. And so it can reawaken. If you get your Shingrix, which is a shot against reawakening of the chickenpox virus and shingles or zoster, very worthwhile. That's approved now for age 50 and up. The prior shot, Zostavax, which is no longer recommended because it's been replaced, it used to be 60 and up. So there are plenty of 50-year-olds who should get that.
And
immunization.
that's debilitating. As a matter of fact, that's a 2-part shot. I know my husband just got the second part of that shot this weekend.
Well, good.
The shingles
go
shot.
Frog him in the arm to remind him of it.
No.
And tell him you're glad he got it.
I'll tell
I
him
have
you
a
said to do
question.
that.
When I was at the hospital with my mom, there was something that said, ask about BSSR.
Is that a railroad?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it
I don't
was maybe
know.
some sort of vaccine or something, but I was just wondering.
BSFR?
BS as in
Sam.
Sam.
Yeah, so 2B and SSR, but I'll have to look that up then, I guess.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's a socialist party.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Dr. Clothier, we have another
Yeah.
question. If I've already had
Wrong
shingles,
show.
would I still need to get the immunization?
Yes, that's a great question.
Oh, that's a very good question.
And let me address that because that's one of those kind of FDA approval versus reality issues. And that is that the prior shot, Zostavax, was not initially approved for people who had shingles because the FDA approval process required that they define a subset of people to study it in. And so they studied the shot in people who had not had shingles. But then after the shot was out for some time, we realized, it's fine to give to people with prior shingles because you can get shingles again. So that was the so-called off-label use. The newer shot is approved for people who have had prior shingles, but we do recommend a gap. If you got shingles today, we would recommend that you not get the shot for about 3 to 6 months, just because nobody wants to, kind of intermix the two. But it is still worthwhile. And in fact, if you've had shingles and you can get it again, because that's the way it is, you will know that you would rather not get it again. So go get the shot.
All right,
That'd be
let's do
very
a quick
worthwhile.
station. Let's do a quick station identification. We're JP, Kathy, and the crew. We come to you live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 to 9 a.m. here on the JP, Kathy, and the Crew Network. Kathy?
All right, we've got 73 degrees, partly cloudy here at VentureX Studios out here in Frisco, Texas. As a matter of fact, stay tuned because we'll be talking about a VentureX party that JP, Kathy, and the crew and VentureX are doing together here shortly. So super excited about that. Headed towards a nice low or high of 93, which is much lower than we've been used to, and then a low of 73, which we're at right now.
All right, Dr. Clothier, as we get ready to enter the school season, flu shots, pneumonia shots, COVID-19 vaccine coming on, we've got 1 minute left. What advice do you have for parents and those who say that they're on the bubble about getting vaccinated?
Well, at first, the flu shot's been out a long time, and the annual flu shot will be safe and absolutely get it. Your child has already been immunized with the pneumococcal vaccine if they are in school because it's given at 2, 4, 6 months and 18 months of age. And so that's why it's an adult immunization is if that immunity wears off for the pneumonia shot. So get the flu shot, wash hands, eat healthy, exercise, do all the normal things. If you think you're sick or think your child's sick, stay home, have them stay home. Don't risk going out and getting people infected. There was an article yesterday in the morning news feed that a student in Oklahoma tested positive for COVID and went to school because he didn't have symptoms. And now they have a little cluster of an outbreak at that school. And, pay attention. If you're positive, if you're sick, don't go infect people, This is the time. Take a break. If never before in society, if you're sick, stay home and self-quarantine. And you don't need to run and get a test immediately because you're not going to get an immediate result. Unless you're really sick. If you're sick enough to be in the hospital, you go do that. But otherwise, stay home and get well. That would be my recommendation.
All right. Well, Dr. Norm Clothier, thank you so much. And
Real
for all
quick,
that you do here on JP, Kathy, and the crew.
JP, real quick, actually, one of Dr. Clothier's patients just chimed in on our Facebook feed. Janae Ritchie said Dr. Norm Clothier is a phenomenal family physician. He's been taking excellent care of mine and my husband and our family, our 4 kids, for years. So I did not know we had a friend in common. So the Ritchie family says, way to go, and you're a phenomenal physician.
That's a great honor to me. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And we should have you on as a regular.
Yeah, that's right. You know,
Maybe on Mondays or
isn't it
something.
6 years next month, JP?
Yeah,
right?
that's exactly
Yeah,
right.
that's like, and I'm only like just now 31 years old, so that's been a significant portion of my life. That's
really
been
has.
on the show. Yeah,
1/5.
that's how I define my life. In fact. So,
Well, you have a blessed
thank you,
day,
though.
Dr.
That's
Clothier.
very kind. I appreciate
Thank
the
you. We
time.
appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Take care. Yeah, bye.
All right, Dr. Norm Clothier, Family Healthcare Associate.
That's awesome.
You know, Kathy, one of the leading stories, and then we're going to jump into the barbecue
yes.
grill that we've got coming up. But one of the leading stories that's out there right now, and that is still being taken care of, is the fact that there was an 18-wheeler crash that shut down I-30 in Rowlett. There was a big rig that went across the median, hit two more vehicles. Fuel spilled all over the roadway. Officials have said that there are multiple serious injuries, no fatalities. Both east and westbound I-30 was shut down for several hours this morning while hazmat crews tried to clean up all of the wreckage and the fuel. And so drivers, if you're out there still and they're still in the middle of cleanup, you want to use Highway 66 as your alternative route. So just, I mean, you know, again, be safe out there.
Right.
Crazy storms last night. Debris could be in the road. If you're going 50, 55 miles an hour and the sun's in your eyes as it's coming up this morning, be careful. You may run into a tree branch or a tire or something along those lines. So do be careful.
Better safe than sorry.
Absolutely. And so now, Kathy, you had found an NPR article that talked about coronavirus.
Well, and it's interesting. I came across this. A member of the crew sent this to me, and I thought it was fascinating because when I read it, I thought, okay, this is going to be from a known conservative news source, and it's not. So this is NPR, who tends to be more moderate to liberal on their reporting, at least in my humble opinion. But they had an article that came out that said mounting evidence suggests COVID not as deadly as thought. Then the question is, did the experts fail again? In April of 2005, of course, I'm saying this as my glasses just fogged up, Charles Dufler, the CIA's top weapons inspector in Iraq, admitted that the CIA's final report after an extensive search, no weapons of mass destruction could be found. After more than 18 months, the WMD investigation and debriefing of the WMD related detainees has been exhausted, wrote Dufler. Dulfer, I think I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, the leader of the Iraq Survey Group. As matters now stand, the WMD investigation has gone as far as feasible. So I'm prefacing this, and I'm reading verbatim from the article to let you know where they're placing what's going on in history now. Today, it's generally accepted that the presence of WMD was the primary basis for the Iraq War. Naturally, the absence of such weapons shook the world. The media blamed the politicians blamed the U.S. intelligence, and the intelligence actors involved mostly defended their work. Okay, so this is back in the day, and they're saying how this was a huge, in NPR, in this article, they're saying this was a huge misstep in history. Now they're saying it would be difficult, and I'm again quoting the article, to surpass the Iraq blunder, but emerging evidence on COVID-19 suggests the experts again, lawmakers, bureaucrats, and the media may have subjected us to a blunder of equally disastrous proportions. The new NPR report suggests the global response to COVID-19 may have been reached on a flawed premise. They're throughout this article, and I'm going to try to put this into our feed so we can talk about this. The mounting evidence of the coronavirus is more common and less deadly than first appeared. The evidence comes from tests that detect antibodies to the coronavirus in a person's blood rather than the virus itself. The tests are finding large numbers of people in the U.S. who were infected but never became seriously ill. And when these mild infections are included in coronavirus statistics, the virus appears less dangerous. The current best estimates for the infection fatally risks are between 0.5% and 1%, says Caitlin Rivers, an epidemiologist at the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Study. That's in contrast with death rates of 5% or more based on calculations that included only people who got sick enough to be diagnosed with tests that detect the presence of the virus in the person's body. So, basically, this article goes on to talk about the Spanish flu and different things of this nature, the influenza, all that kind of stuff. And NPR, and again, they're drawing a correlation to what they say was a misstep with the weapons of mass destruction. And now they're saying the coronavirus is possibly as big of a mistake from the powers that be. So I asked the crew, what do you think? Is the coronavirus real? And JP, Corley, Charles, we've all talked about this. Dr. Clothier, Dr. Dave, we've talked about this. Yes, it's a very serious illness. And if you get it, you've got to take it seriously and be smart. Hunker down, quarantine yourself, be smart about it, get to see your doctor. But is it worth the loss of jobs, the loss of revenue, the mental health issues that we have not even seen the peak of how bad that's going to be, having kids at home, everybody being on lockdown, people not getting surgeries they need. Will it all have been worth it at the end?
What's even more difficult is when you have people that are in the hospital,
right?
And rightly so, they have restrictions that only one person can be at the hospital.
Right.
If you have a large family,
well, like
it's very difficult.
I mean,
It's
how many brothers and sisters do you have?
Yeah, I have 5.
Oh.
It's including myself, 5.
Okay, five
Right.
siblings
plus
the grandchildren and plus your dad,
the spouse. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're limited. JP, you're going to run into the same problem when you go into the hospital to see your dad today.
Well, today was the first day that Arizona has opened back up the hospital.
Oh my
goodness! To allow
goodness.
people to go in. They have not been open. I want to come back to the article though, and I want to talk about this whole idea of how did this thing become what it became. Number one, I'm going to start off with what Paul Offit has to say, being she's the chair of vaccinology at the University of Pennsylvania. Very, very good institute for education. These folks are very, very smart. Along with the World Health Organization and other organizations, this is his commentary. We're more the victim of fear than the virus, adding that the world was witnessing a wild overreaction to the disease. What was once thought, Kathy, to be a 2 or 3% mortality rate has only been 0.5 to 1%. It's not reaching the Spanish flu epidemic like they thought it was going to reach. The bottom line is that the government has used this as a tool to try to control the president, try to control the American people, and try to control this election coming up in November. Even our key medical scientist on all of this, Dr. Fauci, I'm not a fan. And after I read what all these other experts, and I'm not talking about people from, we didn't go to college, University of Facebook Medical School. I mean, we're talking about the University of Pennsylvania here.
Right.
And the bottom line is that what we're finding out is that this thing is nowhere near the measures of the 1918 flu and what it's going to do. And we have allowed fear-mongering to control this country, ruin our economy, and put us in a recovery rate that I don't know that we're ever going to be able to recover from what we have here.
Well,
Corley, what's your take on all
JP, real quick before you say this, 40 million jobs have been lost. The federal debt has surged to 26 trillion. Mm-hmm. I mean, those aren't numbers to 40 million jobs?
Yeah, I think it's more than 40 million.
It may be, yeah.
50 north of 50. But
yeah.
I'm with you, JP. I don't think there are any new diseases on this earth. So when people say that things are naturally occurring, I don't know. I think it takes for diseases to get inside of of people without the help of. I mean, you got to do your own research, but naturally occurring takes a long, long time. But also too, when it all started back in February, the WHO, WHO, they were having these meetings. Really smart doctors, and that's where all the fear began. And I don't know why, but it was. And then of course, the NIH, National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, jumped all over it. Now that company belongs to Fauci. He actually owns it. And what's funny too, he's been doing this for a long time, like 30, 40 years with many presidents. I'm a little suspicious. But final thought is, Trump actually formally he's formally pulling out of the WHO.
Right.
So,
that's a big statement.
Yeah, I would want to talk about it. Something's up. I don't think we're having a conversation again. So there you go.
Yeah. JP, what are your thoughts?
Well, again, I go back to the fact that it was overstated to begin with. The president was pushed into a corner that if he wasn't doing something from a federal standpoint, then he wasn't protecting the people. And I've said this all along. Whenever we've looked to the government to provide us with any kind of solution, that solution has been barren and has been not communicated, but misapplied across the board. Groucho Marx once said that politics and economics are the worst form of any type of government, because it's a government trying to lead without knowledge. And so the bottom line is that we need to leave the American people to their own. Let us come to some solutions. Allow the private market to, in a competitive format, take care of what the needs of the consumer is, and the government just needs to keep governing. We did not need to be placed into this position, and it's opened up a link to socialism and communism, and even to some extent fascism, if we're not careful.
Well, I mean,
Especially
think about it,
with this election coming up.
with mask shaming. And things of that nature. And I think people are smart enough to figure out to wear a mask on their own. I don't think we need the government to tell us what to do to be smart. I think just let the American people take care of business like we always have. You mentioned President Trump's reaction. One of the very first things he did early on, and you don't hear about this in the media, was he shut down travel to Asia, or from Asia, or to Asia, back and forth. He shut down the travel. When he first did that, and JP, you and I reported this back when we were on our radio show, we reported that, hey, this is going to be a good thing. This is going to save millions and millions and millions of lives. And remember how he was hammered. President Trump was absolutely annihilated. Oh, how cruel. How could he do that? I think out of everything that President Trump did, that step early on was probably what saved us from devastation here in America.
It certainly helped.
Yeah.
And they're saying that now.
And now he's not getting any credit.
Correct. Right. Yeah. Yeah. He's been pretty brave. And he's not a politician. So who knows what's going on back there. I think with the weapons of mass destruction, there was a lot of people not talking to each other, people not listening to each other. And these things happen, but we do have the right to stop and rethink it. And, only people that are doing that looks like are us and other radio stations.
I was going to say, not a whole lot of media talk about that out there, unfortunately. And it is unfortunate. And the reason I read verbatim what they had said at the very beginning of the article, and again, I'm going to try to link it into our Facebook page, was because I wanted to show that this, and when I got this article, I was like, this is NPR. I mean, for them to step out like they did,
pretty left, yeah,
and say that, hey, wait a second, has this whole COVID-19 thing been blown out of proportion to the staggering level that they consider the WMDs?
Sure. So my
know?
question to you and to JV. So let's kind of flip it and say, all right. So what's the worst that could happen? What's really? Let's just throw it out there to the crew. Let's say it's
Well-
not as bad. Why would this? Why would it be happening? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Well, I think we throw it out to the crew. I think that we say, we want to hear from you. You know, Michelle, Gail, Marvin, Fred,
Yeah, Tad,
Mary,
Chad, everybody. Yeah, Cleo, what do y'all think?
everybody. Lee, Marion, I mean, Coach Quigley, Cleo, what do you guys think about this?
Yeah.
I mean, have we stumbled across the largest smoke and mirrors since WMD with Iraq? Is that the case? And NPR shows its face by knocking President Bush before.
And I mean, they literally,
disclosing.
yeah, JP, I know because I sent you the article. Like the first 4 paragraphs are basically slamming President Bush, you know, so it is what it is. But the reason I felt like this was so important because, okay, we are a conservative leaning show. You know, all of us involved, the 4 of us who, you know, make up JP, Kathy, and the Crew and the JP, Kathy, and the Crew network, we're all conservative. Anybody who watches us for 5 minutes can probably tell that. But we also are going to bring, Corley's laughing at me, but, you know, we are going to bring to you what other people are saying, like we did on Friday. We're going to bring to you what other people have to say, what the other opinions are. And in this, they come to their point by going through weapons of mass destruction to get to the point of, hey, I think we've been sold a bill of goods.
This sounds really.
Right. No, yeah.
Yeah, this sounds really, really bad. But so Kamala Harris made her acceptance speech last week at I think it was it at Biden's house? I don't know, in the basement.
I was going to say, or did she come up from under the
Where was she? Was she
under
there
the
all along?
bunker or from around the tree?
So what's interesting about it is, you know, she's right out the gate. She started talking about how, you know, the epidemic, or, you know, the pandemic
yeah.
is it's Trump's fault. So I'm starting to like stack the deck and say, okay, so all right, so they're going to use it, which means they're not going to do anything to discredit what we're saying because they're using it to discredit Trump. I find that a little odd. People should be more important than all that. Now we get it, it's politics, so I'm not being naive here. But I think it's notable to, you know, they're using it. That's going to be their big thing. But I also think that the Republicans are. I think we needed to start coming out with some Kamala stuff like a month ago, because I think we knew that she was going to be the front runner. But anyway, not. You know, I don't know. That's just me,
and
right?
we are definitely going to be talking about her.
It's coming.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff there.
We are. So let's go ahead and take a station identification break. It is currently 8:13 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We are on the JP, Kathy, and the Crew network. We are JP, Kathy, and the Crew. We come to you live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 to 9 o'clock, right here at Venture X Studios, right here in Frisco, Texas. It's everything you need, from a business to a virtual mailbox to a virtual office, you can find right here at Venture X.
So I heard
Kathy
something.
And
Sorry.
weather, what do we got?
All right,
I
we've
was
got
just
mostly sunny today, high of 93, low of 73. Thank goodness the crazy rain and wind is over.
All right, so there you go with that. You know, Kathy, I posted on Facebook because I think this is kind of fun to do crazy stuff like that.
Yes.
You know me.
Oh,
And so
yes.
I did.
JP loves to
Yeah.
shake it up. All kinds of
I do.
shenanigans.
Well, this one I did is fun, and I want to hear what everybody's is before I dive into our comments. In life, there are things that make you go, What makes you go, So, Corley, let's start with you. Corley, what in the world makes you go,
Give me a subject. I mean, relations. Where we want to start? You know,
Well, there are things that make you go, really? Or,
Wow. Oh man, can you come back to me, because
That's a
trying to
tough
decide which
one.
one. No, well, there's a lot.
That's tough.
I don't want to
All right, well,
blow it out the water.
I'll tell you what, I'll pull out a comment from one of our listeners, Carol Johnson. She says, things that make me go, are my damn glasses. I think I have 10 pair and I can't find the one.
I love it. Yep. JP, you can relate to that.
Boy, can't I? I can't find a pair of reading glasses for nothing.
Same here.
In fact, I'm using a pair of my mother's old reading glasses that are really kind of fancy, you know.
That's great.
Oh, hey, bring 'em
very
back with
Elton
ya.
John there. I think, John.
I know they're very Elton John. So, Chuck, what about you? What makes you go,
What makes me go, is a cookout with barbecue.
Oh, you're going with like the He's like,
Hey, there you go.
Nice.
So, Kathy, Shelby Williams says
Yeah.
things that make him go, my vocal cord.
Oh, yeah. Okay. There you go. Plano City Council friend of ours. That's funny.
So, Kathy, what about you? What makes you go,
You know, the fact that every time I think I'm up on a trend, like saying something cool or hip, then I find out I'm like not only 6 months behind, not only a year behind, but typically 18 months behind. So there you go. So the things that make me go, is when did I go from 20 to 90? I woke up one day and I was a 90-year-old woman.
What about you, JP? What about you?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the biggest things that make me go, is how on earth people are able to get their driver's license.
Oh, with the DMV. Oh, good night. Yeah, we're dealing with that right now, which yeah, it's
I'm
crazy.
talking about the people on the road.
On the road.
That already have their license.
You mean, like, how did they ever get their driver's license?
I'm like, dude, the Sears Roebuck catalog has been shut down for years. How did you get your license? No blinker, far right lane. He decides he's going to join us in the left lane.
Oh.
All the way across traffic. I'm like, are you people serious?
Yeah, it's insane, you know. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to give out a shout to Coach Wiesman, and Coach Quigley's the one who told me about him being at the 1-2-3 driving school. We went ahead. Now I've got to go back and take my son to get his picture taken and to turn in our paperwork. But for his actual driving test, we paid to go through a third-party vendor. We chose 1-2-3 driving school in Garland, and cannot highly recommend this group of individuals and professionals enough. With COVID, it's already tough enough to maneuver the DMV. Heck, before the DMV dealt with COVID, it was already hard enough to maneuver that. And then, so anyways, wanted to give them a shout out because they're part of the crew, and just very happy that we have groups like that available. And, you know, I think I've mentioned this on the show before, but I look at, I've seen the memes on Facebook, and the thing is, if, the DMV needs to hire Chick-fil-A to let it know how to run its lines, because Chick-fil-A, literally, there can be 30 cars
Nice.
wrapped around the building in triple or double lines. You're still getting out in less than 10 minutes, Jacob.
I can
you know
confirm
what I'm
that
talking
because
about.
I work at Chick-fil-A.
See, my daughter used to, and it's like
They
the
need
tightest
to
ship there
have a
is.
double lane,
Yes.
system.
Yeah, and everybody's super friendly. Of course, Jacob works there. Like everybody, it's always kids that have the biggest smiles and are super friendly.
And then you get some chicken to go along with it.
Yeah.
So
See,
so
I
it's a
loved
double
that.
There you go.
I loved that discount
Just
when
hire
Emily worked
Chick-fil-A to
there.
do it, you know?
Yeah.
So great segue, and here's my So what makes me go is how people can subtract or completely eliminate, God from their diet. So I was hearing that Chick-fil-A is actually
yes.
changing their rules a little bit. Is that right, Jacob? Tell us about that a little bit.
Yes. As far as I know, they stopped supporting some Christian. They stopped supporting some Christian organizations because of some political views or something.
Right, which I would that.
I mean, we were
That
all
was
counting
the
on
thing that made
Chick-fil-A
you
to
go,
keep it hold it down for us.
Yep. There you
Well,
go.
them and Hobby Lobby.
There you
Yeah.
go.
What is Jacob?
So here's a couple more
Thank you for
comments. So Michelle Butler, who's part of the crew, she said the opposite sex.
Yeah, that's just a blanket statement. Of course, Michelle, I love that.
Well, and it seemed like the most common thread amongst our comments were adults and people. They make people go, So that was, and then of course Jack Worsham. You cannot allow
Love Jack
a
Worsham.
commentary not to have Jack Worsham in the midst of it. He says how there seems to be no entity that monitors what our colleges and universities teach students, while patriotism is shunned and socialism seems to be rampant there.
Good for him.
That's well said, I think.
Very well said.
It is.
Jim,
Yep. I was going to say.
go ahead, Corley.
Thank you. Well, some of the biggest universities that we consider, staples of, there are a couple of things that America is first in: education, justice system, and I'm saying this because a lot of times people will debate it, but when you go to other countries, you will see that our education system is really good, and our justice system, but we've kind of let it go a little wild, and the biggest universities are very, very liberal, but however you want to take that.
Even some of the small Christian universities. I've got I won't mention any on air here today, but a couple of friends who are graduates from a couple of smaller Christian universities who have said, and they've got kids that are a little bit younger than mine, so we're talking like elementary school, middle school age, and they're like, I won't let my kid go to my alma mater.
Kind of sad.
I mean, I'm like, wow. There are parents who are promoting kids going to a junior college and working.
Right.
So until their mind's a little bit more formed in their thought process, so they don't get influenced by these extremely liberal professors.
I think junior colleges actually rock. If anyone,
my gosh,
you can get in.
College is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Tarrant
Just here in our
County College,
backyard.
Collin County. That's right. Good stuff.
Yep.
So what makes a 17-year-old go,
Yeah.
Jacob?
What makes me go, is just how much division has been caused in the whole country in this past year.
Yeah.
Just how,
Yeah.
how just one thing that the media blows up just cause all this discourse throughout the entire country and even world.
That makes me sad to hear him say that.
Well, first of all, well spoken, Jacob. You are so articulate and so impressive, and bravo to Mom and Dad. Just you're such an impressive individual. But I'm with you, Corley. I think that I've had more conversations with my daughter and my son in their older teen and now early adult years that I never, when they were 10 and 6. I never thought I would have had with them about hatred, about hating the country, about racism. There are conversations that I've had to have with my kids that absolutely break my heart, because when they were little, the way we were as a country, I would have never thought that would have been a thing,
But you are American, and you're going to get through it.
Oh, you know me. I wave that flag all the time.
We should be hearing the ringing of "God Bless America" behind us.
Amen. Lee Greenwood, God bless the USA.
That's right. So Jim Pickle piped in. He says that the entire population of the world lost 75 average IQ points since February.
Yeah, we never know where Jim Pickle stands. Oh, and by the way, Joni pinged me. She's a member of the crew, and she's done March Madness and fantasy football with us. She wanted to know what we were going to do about fantasy football.
We're still contemplating that, Joni.
I told her we were trying to figure something out.
Yeah. So Jack Worsham also said, he goes, why it always takes me 5 to 6 hours and many pins, passwords, and such that I'm supposed to know. I remember 1 or 2 to upgrade a cell phone. As I look around and wonder if I'm the only ignorant adult who dreads this and realizes every child is old enough to grasp also owns one.
Yeah, yes. Well said, Jack.
I know, right? All right, it's currently 8:23 here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You are listening to JP Cassie and the Crew on JP Cassie and the Crew Network. You can join us on Thursdays from noon to 1 for Jeremy Rosenthal as he starts bringing you
new show,
Criminal Justice, or on Sundays at 8 o'clock in the morning with Dr. Be Good, our very own public education expert. That's right. And coming soon, a husband and wife financial team.
Yes.
Do they always agree on how things should be managed? And is it just easy to say the wife is always right.
Yes, honey. What is that?
Yes, honey.
Happy wife, happy life, I believe is the saying.
I believe that's probably the saying. And so, Kathy, what are we looking like today in Dallas?
All right. Well, the weather is much better than it was last night, and want to give a shout out to the Baptist men who on a regular basis go out and help folks after storms and have done such a great job. I know JP, you and I have had them on the show many a times talking about their efforts, like during Katrina and Harvey and things like that. Well, they're in the Allen area, just down the street from us here in Venture X today. So just praying for those who had some kind of devastation at their home with the storm last night, and just hope that you get up and running and back to business very soon. So luckily today, lovely day, actually cooler weather is what the cooler temperatures have been brought in with the storm. 93 for the high today. Whew, that's nice. And then low of 73. Currently, we've got mostly sunny and 75 in Frisco, JP.
All right, we've got in the green room waiting to come on live at our 6:33 break. We've got Chuck Wright. He's already in the green room hanging out. I think he's giving us the hook 'em horns look, which I'm all about.
Probably
And
because you have your hat on.
And I believe he's already flashed a symbol to us in regards to military service. So we're going to ask him about that, too, when we get him on the air here joining us. You know, Dorinda Randall responded to what makes you go, She said people being okay with the violence and or violent offenders being released from jail, journalists not being interested in integrity, sports figures not realizing they are extinguishing their career and future hopeful star athletes. She goes, I can go on, but I got to go to work.
Oh, Dorinda never has an opinion.
No. Lee D says, why Hillary isn't in jail?
Things that do make you go,
Very much so. Sharon Gautreau says, driving around town alone with a mask on.
We've all talked about that.
I've wondered about that.
Okay, Corley, JP, Charles, Jacob, anybody?
I have a funny story. So at Chick-fil-A, we
Yes.
take orders in the drive-thru. I'll see people alone in their cars with the mask on, and then when they roll down their window to get their order, then they take their mask down when the window's down and then order. Then they roll the windows back up, put their mask back on, and I'm just thinking,
and you do go,
There's a song in Hunchback of Notre Dame, the play is called Topsy Turvy Days.
Oh, yes.
It's just backward.
Yeah.
So John Kelly, in his witty way, he goes, when someone asks me, what makes you go,
Wait, say that again?
Yeah, I knew you didn't catch
Yeah,
that.
say that again.
He goes, when someone asks me, what makes you go,
Oh. Smart Alec. There you go.
Bob Grace says, the coin shortage. All of a sudden, we have no coins.
Oh, yeah. It's,
I've got a huge jar full of coins. I don't know.
yeah, we always save coins, and then we'll take them to one of those coin stars, and then I for some reason I get extreme satisfaction out of hearing the coins go in and then getting a little, the coin star thing. Yeah, Corley's looking at me like I'm nuts. Yeah, and you wonder why. My thing that makes me go is why I can't keep up with the cool trends, because I'm in a grocery store dumping coins into coin star, going, this is awesome.
Is that Kathy over there?
Yeah.
Welcome to the change bank.
Yeah.
And then, so Fallon Hale says, the crackhead next door.
Where does she live?
Yeah, wait, where are you living?
Out in the country, I think. So Gail, or Colin Light says, all the promises we hear during election years.
Oh, yeah. Well, and
then Heidi Hope.
And then the one person who kept his campaign promises, President Trump, then he gets his chops busted because they're like, well, he said he was going to do it, and look at him, he did it. I'm like, okay, but that's a good thing, right? He kept his campaign promises.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's definitely
Heidi
his own man.
Holmgren says Kamala Harris.
Oh, yes.
You can say the
Good
same
luck
about
there.
Joe Biden.
So she was it was in that speech I mentioned earlier. She was giving praises to Biden, and
Of course. Oh, now
and-
she is.
Yeah. And
That makes you go,
There's a lot of
Yeah.
drama on the Biden side, if everyone knows. I mean, like one of the boys is dating his now deceased brother's
wife
girlfriend
and stuff. Yeah.
Just a lot of things and a lot of sad things, of course.
Oh
but
yes, yeah.
but so in her accoutrements to Biden, she was saying, he is the type of guy who will always say what he can do for you and not what you can do. In other words,
Yeah.
don't ask anyone what they can do for him.
Right.
And I was saying to myself, wow, that's good enough for Biden to take personal responsibility, but it's not good enough for. I'll leave it alone. It's not good enough for what
Yeah.
they're behind right now.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
wasn't Kamala Harris the
citizens.
person that brought charges against David Deladian
Oh,
when they
there's-
brought out the
let me tell you all
stuff
these.
what's going on?
Well,
with the
and which makes it interesting,
clinic?
and I know JP wants to get to this a little bit later to talk about the pick because we haven't had a chance to talk about Biden's pick. But if you think about it, all these people who are in favor of defunding the police, and JP, you and I have talked about this, and the irony, some of her moves as district attorney or as attorney general and things like that. So it's or DA. But anyways, that is one of those things that make you go, Can I say a bit of good news?
Yeah.
We do need to give a big old birthday shout out to Gail's husband, Steve. Steve
Big
Meeks.
Steve.
It is his birthday today, so happiest of birthdays to him.
51 years old today.
So
All right.
happy birthday.
So last one, and then we're going to take an identification break and get on with Chuck Wright because we're going to ask him what makes him go, I'm hoping it's going to be a fundraiser for veterans at a golf tournament. That's what I'm hoping. But anyway, Mary Jane says, a stimulus check deposited straight in my bank account.
I love it.
All right, with that being said, it is currently 8:33 here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We are JP, Kathy, and the crew. We come to you live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 to 9 o'clock. You can catch us here on the JP, Kathy, and the Crew Network, along with all kinds of other informative, educational, and entertaining shows brought to you Monday through Friday with rebroadcasts on the weekend. We are excited, Kathy, because the weather's going to be hot, super hot, crazy hot.
Actually,
Oh my God, it's hot.
No, actually, it's going to be pretty decent today, JP. We went from 105 yesterday. We're going to be at a high of 93 today, so can't complain about that. 93 for the high, 73 for the low. So, and the rest of the week, heck, tomorrow 93. It's going to get down to 91 on Wednesday and Thursday. Towards the end of the week and the weekend, we may get to the 94, 95, 96 degrees, but I'll take a break from the triple digit heat any day. Any day.
Anybody get in the
Well-
pool this weekend? Anyone? Anyone?
No, we did last weekend. We got in a friend's pool, but this weekend we didn't. Did you?
I did.
Was it nice?
Yeah, it was good.
Or was it like lukewarm bath water?
Yeah, no, it was pretty cool. Actually, it was pretty cool.
All right.
I probably need to give a shout out to the Turk family in Oklahoma. My son Noah's mother passed this past week, and so
Yeah,
Turk
sorry to
family,
hear
we're
that.
praying for you. We love you, and yep, cool.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, our prayers are with them, definitely.
Awesome.
All right. With all that being said, we have got Chuck Wright joining us this morning.
Woohoo!
Chuck, things that make you go, I'm hoping it's a golf tournament or something.
There's not enough time to get what makes Chuck Wright go,
There you go.
So Chuck,
Oh,
welcome.
you
And that's
you
me
guys
with all
are.
due love and respect.
I hope you're ready for the fun part of the show. 'Cause I gotta admit, it's been pretty depressing this morning.
Slam
The
dunk.
only thing I'm going to say about COVID is that we are the anti-COVID. Come out and join us for the most fun golf tournament of the year, and it's supporting an even better cause. We are honoring R. Lee Ermey. For those
Love
who
it.
don't remember R. Lee, he was the iconic Marine in the movie Full Metal Jacket, Gunnery Sergeant Hartman. And if you see his image, you'll go, oh, yeah, I know that guy. And I'm not going to go into the great story about how I will real fast. How he got the part is that he was a technical advisor at the time he was studying film at the University of Manila in the Philippines. True story. They were shooting the movie there, and the interesting thing, they were shooting the part of the movie that he wasn't in. He was actually in the movie, and they shot it at San Diego. But the gentleman who was playing the drill instructor was driving him nuts because he wasn't doing it right. He walks into, and his name flew right out of my Stanley Kubrick's office.
Yeah.
And starts in with the line that he's supposed to say, and then he goes, "That's how it should sound." And Kubrick looked at him and said, "Okay, you got the part."
I never
great story.
knew
Started
that.
his film career.
That's
Arlie has always been
awesome.
incredibly dedicated to our veterans.
Yes.
And our cause for this tournament is Homeless Veteran Services of Dallas, the Veteran Resource Center down just south of the Dallas VA. It is a great organization. It's a great cause. We have served 65,000 veterans since we opened the doors in 2004.
Wow.
So absolutely phenomenal. JP, I'm
Yes,
going to
sir.
take a little bit of a twist here. If you'll look over my left shoulder, you will see a white football. If you could get a little closer, it is signed by the king himself, Darrell K. Royal. I had lunch
Really?
with him. I bought the great man enchiladas and Budweisers at his favorite spot in Austin, Matt's El Rancho. Anybody who's been to Austin knows Matt's El Rancho. Lo and behold, completely unknown to me, Matt's El Rancho would wind up providing my son with a scholarship in hotel and restaurant management. And I'll brag about my son. He finished with a 4.0 this last year. So he's perfect through college. And Michelle finished her genealogy certificate. So we're going way personal here.
Yeah. Well, we love your
And
family.
she finished that from BYU, Idaho. Her genealogy certificate with a 4.0 as well. Back to the golf tournament. This is going to be incredible fun. We're going to have hand-rolled cigars. We're going to have lunch catered by Bravo Company Barbecue out of Austin. This is another Marine. It's going to be providing the barbecue. It was great fun last year. It's going to be more fun this year. This year we've got Commandant Robert Neller. So the immediate past Commandant of the Marine Corps is playing with us. Jack Ermey, Arlie's brother, is coming. Burt Gilliam, the star of Blazing Saddles, a movie you couldn't even think about making today.
Oh, boy, that's the
oh, my
truth.
gosh, and it was hilarious. So, we're going to have one of the best swag bags going, and I wanted to share that real fast. These are the microfiber towels, and you can see they're embroidered with our logo. Golfers love these. These are not the cheap little fall-apart cotton towels. We sat down with a bunch of golfers and found out what they really wanted and what they didn't want to go in the trash. Every golfer will get their own Arlie Ermey Memorial Golf Classic bag tag. Good for your golf bag, good for regular luggage. And one of the things I really enjoy, the one thing you may be able to see behind me is below the football, is my challenge coin collection. We're doing challenge coins. But we've decided to do something different with our challenge coins. So every year, this is last year's, another Marine friend of mine, Mike Hood, was our sponsor, but we're going to go in a different direction this year. This year, the back of the challenge coin will be 12th Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, Gene Overstreet, who's another powerful advocate for veterans. He testifies before Congress frequently. He's on the board of Young Marines. Generally, he is a great guy when he's not falling out of pecan trees. True story. The sergeant major fell out of a pecan tree, did some serious damage. But he's back riding his motorcycle, and he'll be joining us as well. So, going to be a great tournament. More information at www.gunnygolf.com, GUNNY golf.com.
It's up on the screen.
What day is the tournament there, Chuck?
Pardon?
What day is the tournament?
Oh my gosh. The 11th of September. We try to pick a very appropriate date. Tee-off will be at 13:30. 1:30 for all of my civilian friends. Get out there about 11:30 for lunch, for practice range. We've got the color guard from NAS, Naval Air Station, Fort Worth. Sorry, I had to think about that for a second. The Marines are coming over to do a color guard, and then we will start the golf tournament
Nice.
with a cannon shot.
That's
We're bringing a real cannon out, an old
awesome.
antique
nice.
cannon, and everybody will tee off once you hear the cannon all over the golf course.
Okay, Chuck,
Now-
we've got members of the crew who are asking, and I'm asking for a friend as well. Do you need any golf cart drivers that might be partaking of spirits themselves?
We had one of those last year. It was pretty funny.
Okay, well,
We won't
you've got
mention any
volunteers
names,
this year.
But you know her well.
Mr. Wright, I got to tell you that those swag bags, that's some pretty swanky stuff. I've done swag bags for events like this before, and that's pretty. Those are nice. Those are long, good long takeaways. Those are nice. Good job.
Thank you.
Yep.
One of the things when we set out to do this, and we started this back when Arlie Ermy was alive. Unfortunately, we lost Arlie Ermy in the spring of 2018. I did have the honor of going to Arlington National Cemetery to attend his funeral. And to be candid, I don't think I have ever attended a better celebration of life. The man was a lot of fun. He was truly a great individual. He used to come in every year to MC our sponsor dinner for the Veteran Resource Center, which is 4900 South Lancaster. Just did a great job, was so gracious, was willing to spend time with everybody. His family's kind of become our family. In fact, Jack came down this last January when my nephew graduated from San Diego from boot camp. So he's a serving Marine, but we appreciate that a lot because one of the things that we said from the very beginning is we wanted this golf tournament to be a huge amount of fun, even if it meant we didn't raise as much money as we could. We wanted golfers to walk away feeling like they'd gotten real value out of it. I had hoped to have an answer on this, but yes, the alcohol will be flowing.
So
It will
you've got
be fun.
members of the crew volunteering left and right, men and women. So
The
put us
There
to
we
work.
go.
They've got a birthday coming
Come
up,
on
don't
up. We have on our website towards the bottom is a sign up genius if volunteers would like to come out. And I'll warn you, we're going to be really busy from 9 till 13:30 when the golfers tee off. And then it gets real boring because there's just nothing to do.
Well, the crew will provide the entertainment during the boring part.
Oh, I look forward to that.
Oh my!
Now, speaking
All right.
of,
Are you gonna hit a?
I'm
Are you gonna
gonna
swing a club,
twist
Kathy?
just a little there. I wanted you guys to be able to see we've got these really great coolers that we're going to stuff with more swag. These are the prizes for the winners. So the coolers will go to second and third place. Our first place winner, and don't let me be on your team because my best wood is always a pencil. They're going to get Honeywell rangefinders, one for each member of the team, as well as a bottle of MVP Liquors flavored vodkas.
I
So
don't
we're
know
going to
that
have
those
that
would
for all the
work.
winners as well.
Wow!
I don't know if those would work for me as far back as I'll be.
Won't matter anyways.
So,
I love it.
Chuck, quick question from the crew. Is it a 4-person scramble?
Yes, it is a 4-person scramble. We
All right.
thought about going creative with some of these other different styles, and it was like, you know what? This is a crew that's going to be out there. We don't want thinking too much. So a simple 4-person scramble that everybody's familiar with, it'll be a lot of fun.
All right. Well, Chuck Wright, again, remind everybody how they can find you and what day we're playing.
We're playing on September 11th. It's coming up. We're not canceling for anything at this point in time. www.gunnygolf.com, GUNNY golf.com.
All right,
Love
Chuck
it.
Wright, thank you so much.
We love you, Chuck. Tell your wife hi.
Hey, thank you guys for having me on.
You bet.
You bet. Take care, Chuck. All right, it is currently 8:43 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You are watching JP, Kathy, and the crew live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 to 9 a.m. right here at Venture X Studios in Frisco, Texas. You can find all of your business needs, virtual offices even, right here at Venture X Studios in Frisco. Kathy, take it away.
All right, JP, we have got 75 degrees here, mostly sunny today, headed towards a high of 93 and a low of 73.
All right. So, you know, we haven't gotten to kick around yet the idea of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as a ticket. You know, one of the things, I'm going to throw this out there, and I'd love to hear comments from the crew on this, but why is it he purposely pigeoned himself into a hole where he had to select a woman as a running mate? Why not the best vice presidential candidate that's available, whether that's a woman, man, black, white, Hispanic?
Amen.
Why not the best candidate?
Amen. That's a good question, and I guess I don't like the from the very beginning. The other side, the other party, Biden's folks put out that he will be selecting a woman, and I thought right away that's a discredit to any woman that he selects, even if I don't agree with her politics, because the statement was never made. Joe Biden will, of course, be selecting the best person for the job for the American people. Where was that comment? So basically, this is like, well, it's going to be a woman, and nothing's ever been mentioned about if it's a stellar individual or a qualified individual, or, hey, how about this, an individual who believes in America and the Constitution. That's kind of a slap in the face right away to women.
Yeah, there's already a lot of talk around the BLM piece. A lot of they call it, racial indecision. They're calling it everything, but there was a lot of pressure put on, the black female, which again raises the question: is it the best person? Is it the best female? And, there were 8. There were about 8 candidates up. I think she's a fighter. I think she's going to come out, but she's a bit of she's very socialist.
Oh, her Senate ratings were more left leaning than Bernie Sanders, y'all. I mean, come on.
Yeah, with the country, it's a
Oh,
pivotal
my
moment.
goodness.
And I know.
Is that a real flush or is that the sound effect?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
That
Way to
was a
go,
sound
Charles. I was like, wait, JP's on the road. I was like, is that JP? Come on, man.
I had to run to the bathroom. What can I say?
Oh, I just,
When I'm talking
that's
about
what
Democratic vice presidential candidates, I got to run to the bathroom. So, I go back to that question because, why are we worried about what one segment of the very liberal, they can call themselves Democrats, but they're more socialist Democrats. But why are we worried about what they want versus what's best for the country? Does that mean that if Biden is elected, that we will be governing based on what an arm of the Democratic Socialist Party wants?
There you go.
What socialists in Congress want versus what's best for the American people. Last time I checked, there were over 300 million people out here in this country, and we're not run by 1.5% of them. But yet, if we elect Biden, he's telling us that that's how he makes his decisions.
Right. Well, and JP, take it a step further than that. He's basically already dubbed himself a lame duck president. He's basically saying that he's a transitional president, and whoever is the vice president will be the heir apparent because, of his age and whatever. He's saying that he will just be a one-term president, or at least this is what I've heard. And he said, so consider me transitional. So who I have as a vice president is very important. So really? So then one person picks the next president after him if he's president? Is that his logic?
So is it because it's the cutoff age?
That's his legacy.
Well, I think he knows that people are very concerned about his health, his mental health, here's the thing. Like, I see President Trump, and President Trump looks extremely strong, extremely resilient. He doesn't look fearful. He looks like he's large and in charge. He's this big presence. I look at Joe Biden, and I feel like he's like some scared kid looking from behind a tree during a game of hide and seek. Always has his face completely covered with the mask, even when he's social distance or by himself. I look at him and I see he seems feeble to me. You know?
He does.
Is that a fair statement? I mean, I'm not saying this
That's a
as
fair
a Democrat
statement.
or a Republican. And you've got to go to these gaffes. I get it. I mean, I'm the queen of them, but I'm also not running for president. It's almost like sometimes I think his people handle him up until the second he goes in front of a camera, and then they grab him the second he comes off, because they're very concerned about what he's going to say, or if he's going to get statistics or facts or historical relevance mixed up. And you don't want that for the leader of the free world, for the American president.
Well, that's what I thought was going to happen, was if he were to get elected, which I don't think is going to happen, but if he was going to get elected, then his vice president would basically be president, and he's just kind of like a puppet almost, which is what he is kind of now.
Well, and that's
Don't you get
interesting
to
coming
vote
from a
this year,
young person.
Jacob? You get
Will
to
you
vote
be old
this
enough
year.
to vote this year?
Yep.
Oh, awesome. Oh, I
Hey,
love you need to
we
do
have
Facebook
definitely
Live when you
gotta-
do that.
We got to get a camera on the engineers.
Oh, yes, we do.
This
Father
is
and
the
son,
voice-
father
I'm sending
and son
Jacob
duo.
over. He's taking up that third
It's,
speed.
it's voice of invisibility. We've got to get cameras on them. All right. I want to hear Corley's commentary on this, and then we're going to.
Wait, whoa, what?
Whoa, whoa.
So I'm voting with most of what you all have said. Ditto. I think Kamala is scary. She's very bluntly, she's saying basically it's all about the group. So you know my thing. We have to 100% focus on the individual. It is not, there is not one thing about you that is more special than the other wonderful things about you, which is what makes you which is what makes you special. And I think, if our parents would have said to us, "Oh, you have size 13 feet, that's going to take you far." I don't know why I said 13 feet. That was pretty silly. But so there's not this one thing. And I think we have to really, really kind of backtrack and focus in on the individual, what they can do, what they can accomplish, entrepreneurship, things like that. If we don't, that's, what is it, high context, like China. It's when we focus on that, kind of the nail that's raised up gets hammered down as opposed to the one that's squeaking gets the oil.
Yep.
We got to go back to the individual. That's all I got, JP.
All right. So it is currently 8:53 here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You are tuned in to JP, Kathy, and the crew on the JP, Kathy, and the crew network. Kathy?
All right, JP, we've got a sunny day today, high of 93, low of 73. I want to give a shout out to our dear friend, Brooke Foltz, who just came in studio. She's going to hang out with us after the show, and we love her dearly. She's the TFRW District Director for Senate District 8. So welcome, hello. And she's gorgeous
All
as
right.
always.
So it's time to transition into what's happening in the wide world of sports. I
We
want to
do
start
have
off with
sports.
We have tons of it. Hockey playoff. Let's jump right into the hockey
Yes.
playoff. We are, the Dallas Stars making some
Wow.
noise in the playoff.
Yep.
And really not a lot of talk about it because it just seems to have taken a backseat to COVID. Game 7 happened Game 7, not Game 7. I like to say that. I don't know why. But the Dallas Stars have faced off with Calgary Flames. And Game 6, Game 7 are scheduled August 20th and August the 22nd if it goes to a Game 6, Game 7. The series is tied right now 2-2 between the Flames and the Stars. Game 5 is tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. You don't want to miss out the opportunity to catch your Dallas Stars. The Stars tied it up in an overtime dramatic win, 5-4 in Calgary. So,
Huge.
well,
With a
Calgary
hat
being the
trick.
home team
With a
in the end.
hat trick, I believe.
That's correct.
Yeah, so
I mean,
good
just
for them.
amazing.
Go Stars, go! I
Go
wore
Stars, go.
the
So-
wrong ball cap today. Dang it!
Yeah, that is all. We're going to get you a ball cap here in a second. All right, the NBA also getting ready to kick off the playoffs. That'll start today, and guess what? Your Dallas Mavericks play today at 6 p.m. as they face off in Game 1 with the LA Clippers. If you wanted to catch 10:30, the Nets take on the Raptors at 1 p.m. The 76ers and the Celtics tip off at 3:30 with the Mavericks and the Clippers at 6. The Magic and the Bucks. And again, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to pick the Bucks again this year to win the NBA championship.
You were pulling for them last year too, or you chose them. You weren't necessarily pulling for them, but you chose them.
I chose them. I'm going to choose them again this year. They said tip off with the Magic tomorrow at 10:30 in the East, and then the Heat and the Pacers at 1 o'clock. Thunder and the Rockets, your Houston Rockets at 3:30 tomorrow with the Blazers and the Lakers at 6 p.m. And so that is your NBA playoff schedule as it gets ready to kick off. And then a little baseball news out there. How about your Texas Rangers? And I want to give a shout out to Coach Quigley real quick. He sent over an interesting tidbit that there are more people on the injured reserve than ever before, and they're saying that it's due to the fact there wasn't enough training camp to get everybody in the shape they needed to be in to play the season. So.
And we wondered about that because if you're not, it's one thing when you're part of a sports team to practice to keep in shape on your own, stay healthy, take care of your body, keep your muscles warm, all that kind of good stuff. But there's something else to preventing injuries that's you can only get by that practice of being with your teammates. I wonder the same thing about like the NFL and college football when those two come up. I wonder about that because there's something to be said. There's a reason why, heck, back even in my high school days, or currently, I think they still do this, 2-a-days for football. There's a reason you do that with your fellow teammates, and it's to help with those injuries come the season.
I remember 2-a-days, and we would I'd wake up because I went to Plano East.
Yay!
And we would get up in the morning, and I would drive towards the sunrise, and then I would come home, go to sleep, and then go back to practice. And then at night, I would be driving home watching the sunset after the second day or second practice.
Oh, yeah. And there was no Gatorade back then. It was rough.
Well, and it's all about getting the body in shape and getting your muscle memory back and all of that. But Texas Rangers faced off Saturday with at Colorado. They won that game 6-4. However, they dropped yesterday to the Colorado Rockies 10-6. And what's interesting is, Coach Quigley and I both had prognosticated that it would be a pitcher's game. I'm telling you what, the batters are lighting it up all over the place. 15-3, the Athletics over the Giants. 8-3, the Dodgers over the Angels. The Diamondbacks over the Padres. 7-5, the Tampa Bay Rays over the Blue Jays. The Astros, a big win over the Mariners, 3-2. But, I mean, these scores you're hearing me cite, this is a batter's game again.
JP,
Are you driving, John?
Are you driving by any chance?
Sorry, headphone.
We're
5 miles an hour. No, I'm sitting in the driveway.
We're getting bad
It's real bad feedback. It's real bad feedback.
Oh, no.
I think we
I'm
made
sorry.
This morning, too.
Here we go.
JP. Oh, no.
Sorry, I had to mute you for a second, John.
So, JP, I gotta jump back to Kathy's statement around the practices because it is about like you said, of course, naturally the body getting in shape, but I also think that it's even more about getting the mind in shape, getting mentally ready and healthy.
Yep.
Being with your teammates is important. Kind of getting that camaraderie, kind of working with each other. It's like in debate. But the more you debate with the person, the better you get. So it's So I think the mental thing is important. Yeah, and so this whole, not to go back to it, but You know, it's like somebody's put like a monkey wrench in the whole system, you know, not being able to be with each other. And what's going on?
Because that's not right for our society. That's not right for society. Yeah.
Hey.
But good point. Kathy.
All right. So we should be hearing some music as we get ready to carry out the day. We hope you have a blessed day. It is currently 9 o'clock here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I'm masked because I'm going to go see my dad.
Well,
Gonna head into the hospital.
Tell Stan we said hello. And again, everybody, if the crew will pray for Joan, Charles's mom, and Stan, JP's dad. They need our prayers, so we'd appreciate you lifting them up. And everybody have a blessed day, and we will see y'all on Wednesday morning.
And Kathy, if you and Corley could just leave, I'll be by to pick them up.
Leave what? I don't know.
I'm sorry,
not
missed
sure
that,
what he
Joan.
said. No. We love you. Have a great day. Mwah.